Okay, so I already went ahead and I made all 4 oranges, as you can see. And the reason why I made 4 is because that's how many there were for the actual squishies that I was inspired by. But you can of course make as many as you want. Or you can even make less than this if you want to. And the reason why I already went ahead and I made all of these is because I already have a much more in-depth video on my channel on how to cut out a ball from foam. So if you want to learn how to make the shape of these, then you can just go and watch that video. I'll link it in the description box below. And it turned out that a lot of people really found that video helpful. So if you want to learn how to cut out a ball from foam, then you can just go and watch that video. And also it's up to you how big you want to make these as well. I made them pretty much about the same size as my palm, as you can see. Obviously make sure they're all the same size. And also if you're going to be using, or if you're going to be putting them in a red net bag like I'm doing, then obviously you want to make sure that they all fit as well. And I already checked that they would all fit, and they do, so that's good. And also another thing that I did was, just to add a bit of extra detail, was I just made some small indents on the top of each orange just using my scissors. Hopefully you can see that. So what I did was I basically just cut a star shape in the middle of each orange. So I just did a line going this way and then that way and that way. So hopefully that makes sense. So you should have a pretty visible star shape in the middle. And then this is where the stem or the stalk is going to go later. I'm really happy with how these all turned out. I tried to make them as smooth as possible. And then once you have all of the oranges ready, we can move on to the next step. Next, what I did was I just painted all of the oranges orange, of course. So here is what they all look like. So you just want to paint all of them completely orange. And I also mixed in quite a bit of yellow paint as well, just to get more of the tone of orange that I needed, or just to lighten the colour a little bit more. Sorry about the lighting, it's not brilliant. But yeah, here's what they all look like so far. And by the way, I'm just using these 2 images over here as reference. So now moving on to the next step. Next, what I did was I just painted on the stalk or the stem in the centre of each orange, just using my dark green puffy paint. So you just want to basically just paint a dot in the centre of each orange, and they do not have to be perfectly circular. And again, I just looked at my images here as reference. And I also placed each orange up against something, as you can see, so that way they don't roll over whilst they're drying. And I'm really happy with how they all turned out. So now you just want to let these completely dry, and then we can move on to the next step. So now moving on to making the label. So next what I did was I just took some white card and just a red felt tip pen, and I just tried to copy the words that were on the label as best as I could. And I'm sorry I didn't actually film me drawing them out. It's because I really wanted to focus and I just didn't want to mess up, so I did it off camera. But here is what they all look like. So really just try to follow like what I've done here basically. So yeah, you just want to make sure that these three letters here are just all the same size. And then you just want to cut them out with your scissors, but make sure to leave a white outline for each of them. And also the same goes for this bit here as well. So again, just try to follow what I've done here. And then lastly, you just want to cut out this bit as well into a small rectangle shape. So yeah, I just looked at these images here again as reference, and then I also looked at a YouTube video of the squishy as well, just to get like a much better view of how the letters looked. And really, I just tried my best to copy them. They're not brilliant, but still I think it's good enough. And if you're really good at writing in Japanese, or if you speak Japanese and you can write it down, then obviously this will be a lot more easier for you. So once you have all of these pieces ready, we can move on to the next step. Here is what the finished label looks like. So basically you just want to follow what I did in the previous clips. Again, I didn't talk in the previous clips, but you can basically see how I made it. So just try to follow along with what I was doing. And in the end, it should look something like this. And I also covered the whole thing with clear tape as well, so that it's protected. I think this turned out really good. I'm really pleased with how the label turned out. And by the way, making the label is just completely optional. You do not have to do this bit at all if you don't want to. And also the net bag is also optional as well. Again, you do not have to have one of these. You can just make the oranges by themselves if you want to. And by the way, in case I haven't mentioned it yet, how I got this net bag was I actually got this from a pack of plums a few days ago. So I'm not sure if you know what I mean, but I got it from this box of plums that just had this red net bag over it, and I just thought this would be perfect. So yeah, and you can probably get these sorts of bags from an actual bunch of oranges as well. But again, these both here are just completely optional. But anyways, once you have this ready, we can move on to the final step. Once you've placed the squishies and the label inside the net bag, here is what the final thing should look like. And again, the label and the net bag are just completely optional. Again, you can just make the oranges by themselves if you want to. But I'm so proud of how this came out. I wanted it to be pretty close to the actual squishy, so that's why I included the net bag and the label, obviously. And it's also up to you if you want to include a tag as well, because as you can see there is a tag here, but I just left that bit out. And there are also versions of this squishy where some of the oranges are green, so you can paint some of the oranges green instead if you want to. Or those might be limes, I'm not sure. But yeah, I think this turned out really, or pretty close to it. I'm really happy with how it looks. And I can't understand what this actually says because I can't read Japanese, but if you do speak and read Japanese, then maybe you can tell me what it means. But yeah, I'm just so happy with how this turned out. And obviously there's an opening in the bag still, so you can still take out the oranges and squish them. And these all turned out really soft, really squishy. And I really like the orange colour, they're all really bright. And again, it's also up to you how many you want to make as well, and also how big you want to make them. Here is what the packaging looks like again. And again, I got this bag from a box of plums, but again, you can probably find one similar to this if you buy one of those bags of oranges, because they have red net bags that are very similar to this. Or you can probably find them online, I'm not really sure. But yeah, I'm just so happy with how the packaging turned out, and I'm really glad that all the oranges fit in there because I was nervous that they wouldn't. Oh, and also, by the way, the label is also made completely out of card as well, and I also used a red felt tip pen like I said before. So I used red and white card for this, obviously. Then I just used a red pen to draw on the letters or the words. These are really soft, as you can tell. You can see my fingerprints in them. Just so pleased with all of them. So yep, that is it for this tutorial. I really hope you enjoyed watching, and as always, please feel free to request any more squishy tutorials you would like me to do in the comments below. And also, I'm probably going to be doing a requested squishy tutorial next, or maybe that in a few weeks or so, so please stay tuned for that. And yeah, I really hope you enjoyed this one, and thank you so much for watching. Bye bye.